Hare Krishna, good evening everyone, and welcome to our Wednesday evening Bhagavad Gita study group. And as usual, we're going chapter by chapter. This evening's chapter is chapter 10, Vibhuti Yoga, the divine glories of the Lord. Is quite a long chapter because included in this chapter is the Chatur Shloki, or the 4 root verses of the Bhagavad Gita, and Srila Sridhar Maharaj's commentary on each of those. Then we'll begin first with short Vandanam. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakuram Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Mahabharanaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaura Tushe Namaha. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Mukam Karoti Vatsalam Pangam Langayate Girim Jat Kripa Tamaham Mande Sri Gurum Dinataranam. So we'll hear the Sanskrit chanted by our Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj. You can all follow along with in your Gitas and begin that.
Vibhuti Yoga, Sri Bhagavan Vacha, Prabhu Eva Mahavahu, Paramadacha, Japte Ang Priya Manaya, Bhakhyami Hita Kanmaya. Nami Vidu Suravana, Pravadam Namahasaya, Ahva Dirhi Devarang, Arsinan Chasarvasa, Gomam, Ajamana Dincha, Vetti Loka Mahesharam, Asangamura Samarteshu, Sarva Papui, Pramuchate, Buddha Jnanam, Asangamoha, Kamasatam, Damasamaha, Sukang Dukkam, Bhavo Bhavo, Bhayancha Bhayamevacha, Ahimsa Samata Tusti, Stapodanam Jasu Jasaha, Bhavanti Bhava Bhutanam, Matta Eva Prithagvidha, Maharsaya, Sapta Purve Chattaro Manavastata, Madhabhava Manasa Jata, Jesang Loka Imang Praja, Etang Vibhuting Yogancha, Mamojo Vetti Tattata, So Vikalpena Yogena, Yujjate Natra Sanshaya, Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo, Matta Sarvam Pravattate, Iti Matta Bhajante Mang Budha Bhava Samannita, Matchitta, Madhgata Prana, Bodhayanta Parasparam, Kadhayantascha Man Nittam, Tushyanti Cha, Ramanti Cha, Tesang Satasiyuktanam, Bhajatang Priti Pudbakam, Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam, Jenomam Bhajantite, Tesamevanukampatham, Aham Ajnana Yangatamaha, Nasvayam Matma Bhavasto, Jnano Dino Bhasvata, Arjuna Vacha, Param Brahma, Param Dhama, Pavitram, Paramang Bhavan, Purusham Shasakam Dibbam, Adideva Majam Vibhum, Austar Mishaya Sarade, Devashis Naradastata, Asitu Devalo Vyasam, Sayanchaiva Bravishime, Sarvameta Visagamane, Janamang Vadasi Kesava, नहीं थे भगवान भक्ति विदुर देवानदानवा स्वयमेवात्मनात्मानं व्यक्तत्वांग पुरुषोत्तम भूत भावन भूतेश देव देव जगत्पते वक्तुमर्ष मर्हर्षसेन दिव्याध्यात्म विभूतया जाभिर्विभूतिर्लोकान् इमां स्तं व्यक्पतिष्ठति कथं विद्यामहं योगिं स्वां सदा परिचिन्तयन् केषु केषु च भावेषु चिन्तोषि भगवन् मया विस्तरेणात्मनो योगं विभूतिं च जनार्दन भूय कथय तृप्तिर्हि शृण्वतो नास्ति मे मृतम्। श्री भगवानुवाच हन्त ते कथयिष्यामि दिव्याध्यात्मविभूतयः प्राधान्यतो कुरु श्रेष्ठ नस्तन्तो विस्तरस्व मे। अहमात्मा गुडाकेश सर्वभूताशयस्थितः अहमादिश्च मध्यं च भूतानामन्त एव च। आदित्यानाम् अहं विष्णु ज्योतिषां रविरश्मि अंशुमान् मरीचिर्मरुतामस्मि नक्षत्राणामहं शशि वेदानां सामवेदोऽस्मि देवानामस्मि वासवः इन्द्रियाणां मनश्चास्मि भूतानामस्मि चेतना रुद्राणां शङ्करश्चास्मि वित्तेषु दुःखरक्षसां वसूनां पावकश्चास्मि मेरुशिखरिणामहं पुरधः साञ्च मुखं मां विद्धि पार्थ बृहस्पतिः सेनानीनामहं स्कन्दः सरसामस्मि सागरः महर्षीणां भृगरहं गिरामस्मेकमक्षरम् यज्ञानां जपयज्ञोऽस्मि स्थावराणां हिमालयः अश्वत्थः सर्ववृक्षाणां देवर्षीणां च नारदः गन्धर्वाणां चित्ररथः सिद्धानां कपिलो मुनिः उच्चैस्रवः समस्तानां विद्धि माममृषोद्भवम् ऐरावतं गजेन्द्राणां नराणां च नराधिपम् आयुधानामहं वज्रं धेनूनामस्मि कामधुक् प्रजनश्चास्मि कन्दर्पः सर्पानामस्मि वासुकिः अनन्तश्चास्मि नागानां वरुणो जादशामहं पितॄणाम् अर्जमाचास्मि जमः संजमतामहं प्रह्लादश्चास्मि दैत्यानां कालः कलयतामहं मृगाणां च मृगेन्द्रोऽहं वैनतेयश्च पक्षिणां पवनः पवतामस्मि रामः शस्त्रभृतामहं झषाणां मकरश्चास्मि स्रोतस्यामस्मि जाह्नवी सर्गाणामादिरन्तश्च मध्यं चैवाहमर्जुन अध्यात्मविद्यानां बाधः प्रवदतामहम् अक्षराणामकारोऽस्मि दण्डः सामासिकस्य च अहमेवाक्षयः कालो धाताहं विश्वतोमुखः मृत्युः सर्वहरश्चाहम् उद्भवश्च भविष्यताम् कीर्तिः श्रीवाक् च नारीणां श्रुतिर्मेधा धृतिः क्षमा बृहत्साम तथा साम्नां गायत्रीश्छन्दसामहं माघानां मार्गशीर्षोऽहं मृदूनां कुसुमाकरः दूतं छलयतामस्मि तेजस्तेजोऽस्मिनामहं जयोऽस्मि व्यवसायोऽस्मि सत्यं सत्यवतामहं वृष्णीनां वासुदेवोऽस्मि पाण्डवानां धनञ्जयः मुनीनामप्यहं व्यासः कवीनाम् उशना कविः दण्डो दण्डमयतामस्मि नीतिरस्मि जिगीषतां मौनं चैवास्मि गुच्छानां ज्ञानं ज्ञानवतामहं यच्चापि सर्वभूतानां बीजं तदहमर्जुन न तदस्ति विना यत्स्यान् मया भूतं चराचरं नान्तोऽस्ति मम दिव्यानां विभूतीनां परन्तप एष तुद्देशतः प्रोक्तो विभूतेर्विस्तरो मया यद्यद्विभूतिमसत्तं श्रीमदूर्जितमेव वा तत्तदेवावगच्छत्तं मम तेजोंशसम्भवम् अथवा बहुनैतेन किं ज्ञातेन तवार्जुन दिष्टभ्याहमिदं कृष्णम् एकांशेन स्थितो जगत् इति श्रीमहाभारते Tadasahasrang Sangitayang Vayasikyang Bhishma Parmani Srimad Bhagavad Gita Supanishatsu Brahma Vidyayang Yoga Shastri Sri Krishna Arjuna Sangvadi Viniti Yoga Nama Dasamadhyaya Hari Om Tat Sat.
Chapter 10, Vibhuti Yoga, the Divine Glories of the Lord. The Supreme Lord said, O heroic Arjuna, listen to my supreme word once again. Desiring your welfare, I shall speak to you who are very dear to me. Neither the demigods nor the great sages can understand my transcendental appearance in this world, as I alone am the origin of those celestial beings and sages. One who knows me, the son of Devaki, as the birthless, beginningless, supreme Lord of all beings, is undeluded among men and completely liberated from sin. Intelligence, knowledge, freedom from delusion, forbearance, truthfulness, mental control, sense control, happiness, unhappiness, birth, death, fear, courage, non-violence, equanimity, satisfaction, austerity, charity, fame, and infamy, all these various attributes of the living beings are born of me alone. The 7 great sages headed by Marichi, and preceding them the 4 Brahmin sages headed by Shanaka, and also the 14 Manus or progenitors headed by Swayambhuva, all are empowered by me and are born of Lord Brahma, who is a manifestation of my mind. Mankind and all progeny descends from these patriarchs. One who thus knows in truth my supremacy and devotional service serves me in unwavering realization. Of this there is no doubt. I am Krishna, the sweet absolute, the origin of all, the entire universe of material and transcendental play, activity, purpose, and the Vedas and allied scriptures, which give guidance, all evolve from me alone. Realizing this hidden treasure, persons of fine theistic intelligence surpass the mundane and embrace the path of love divine, Raga Marg, and adore me forever. Commentary by His Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Rakhat Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj. Verses 8 to 11 are the 4 principal verses of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. The ontological substance of the book is contained within these 4 essential verses, beginning Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo. Everything evolves from me. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, the 3 main conceptions of the Absolute are given as Brahma, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. Brahma is the all-comprehensive aspect of the Absolute. Paramatma is the all-permeating aspect of the Absolute. And Bhagavan is the personal conception of the Absolute. The word Bhagavan is generally defined as stated in the Vishnu Purana. Aishvarjasya samgrasya virjasya jashasa shriyaha jnana vairagyaus chaiva sanam bhaga itingana. He who is full with the 6 opulences of wealth, power, fame, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation is known as Bhagavan, the Supreme Lord. The characteristic of Bhagavan as Lord Narayan is that all kinds of potencies are personally controlled by him. However, Srila Jiva Goswami has given a special and particularly fine interpretation. Bhagavan means Bhajaniya Guna Vishishta. His nature is such that whoever comes in contact with him cannot resist serving him. No one can resist feeling moved to worship and adore his charming personality. As Lord Krishna, he attracts the love of everyone. Therefore, by the word Sarvasya, Lord Krishna indicates, I am Swayam Bhagavan, the Supreme Lord himself. I am the origin of not only Brahma and Paramatma, I am also the origin of the Master of all potencies, who commands the respect of everyone, Lord Narayan of Vaikuntha. Mataha Sarvam Pravartate. Every attempt and movement begins from me, including the methods by which everyone worships and serves me in devotion. Nayanatma pravachanena labhyo, na medaya na bahuna shrutena, yame vaisha brinute tena labhyas, tasyaisha atma vivrinute tanun swayam, from the Katha Upanishad. The Lord cannot be known by logic, intelligence, or extensive study of the scriptures, but he reveals himself to one who is eager to serve him and prays to him for his grace. In this way, Mataha Sarvam Pravartate, I am the first to reveal to the people, worship me in this way. I appear as Guru, and through him I worship myself. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Guru is described by the Lord as his own direct manifestation. Acharjamam vijaniyam navaman yeta karhichit namatya buddhaya shuyeta sarvadeva maya guru. Sri Krishna said to his devotee Uddhava, you should know the bona fide spiritual master as my very self. Gurudev is the embodiment of all the gods. Never dishonor him or find fault in him by ascribing any mundane conception of place, time and circumstance to him. Furthermore, the Lord's finest potency is Srimati Radharani. Of course, there are many other eternal associates, but the highest order of devotional service is represented in Srimati Radharani. The Lord is therefore saying, my worship is shown by me. I, as my finest potency, worship myself. Iti matva bhajantema. Understanding this conception, the devotee will come to worship me, always under the direction of my best worshipper, my finest potency and representation, Radharani, or Gurudev. Crossing her, the highest and most desirable form of service to me, is not possible. Radha Dasyam, the servitorship of Srimati Radharani, is indicated here. Only those who are blessed with divine intelligence will be able to appreciate this, and not persons with self-acquired intelligence from this Mayik quarter, the world of misconception. In this verse, the word of Buddha refers to Sumedhasa, as described in the Srimad Bhagavatam, or persons of fine theistic intelligence arising from direct connection with the transcendental plane. The inner guidance and direction they receive is the outcome of Sukriti, divine merit acquired by the association of pure devotees. Bhava Samanvita means Raga Samanvita, Anuraga, love and attraction, which is affinity, not by strictly following scriptural rules or drawn from any plane of loss and gain, but from bhava, inner divine inspiration. Devotion of this high type is completely non-calculative, Gyan Shunya Bhakti, as described by Srila Rupa Goswami in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Anya Vilasita Shunyam Jnana Karmadi Anavrita Anukulyena Krishna Nushilanam Bhaktir Uttama. The highest devotion is that which satisfies Lord Krishna, free from the coverings of any pursuits such as action and knowledge. The most rare and elevated stage of devotion is in the line of spontaneous devotion, known as Raga Marg. In that line, guided by the qualified Guru, an elevated pure devotee may attain service to a leader of one of the groups of Krishna's personal associates who serve the Lord in his pastimes in a relationship of friendship, Sakya Rasa, parenthood, Vatsalya Rasa, or consorthood, Madhura Rasa. In Vrindavan, the Lord is served in spontaneous devotion by his friends headed by Subal Shaka and by his parental devotees headed by Nanda Maharaj and Mother Jashoda. The gopis headed by Lalita and Vishaka serve him in consorthood. But amongst all his associates and amongst all the gopis, the highest order of divine loving service is rendered to the Lord by Srimati Radharani. Therefore the acme of Ragamarg is the service of Radharani or Radha Dasyam. This is the highest objective of the Rupanuga Gaudiya Sampradaya, the followers of pure devotion as taught by Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada in the line of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Always thinking of me, those surrendered souls converse about me, enlightening one another with the nectar of their devotional realizations, ever content and ecstatic in their divine natures. Commentary. The Supreme Lord Krishna is speaking about his pure devotees. I am in the heart of their hearts and in their every thought. Their entire energy, their whole life is dedicated to my satisfaction. They converse with one another about me and experience mutual enlightenment. They always love to talk about me with whoever they meet and nothing else. For every time, place and circumstance, I am the only subject of their discussion. They find very much satisfaction in this, Tushyanticha. Up to the divine relationship of parenthood, there is the feeling of satisfaction. Furthermore, Ramanticha, just as a wife enjoys a conjugal relationship with her husband, the devotees similarly feel such ecstasy in my intimate company when speaking about me. This has also been mentioned by the previous acharyas. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam. Sorry, that's the next word. Tarati buddhi yogam tam yenamam upayantite. To those devotees who are always lovingly engaged in my service, I give the divine inspiration by which they can come to me. Commentary. The Lord says the highest group of my servitors, whose devotion was described in the previous verse by the word Ramanti, are those who are constantly engaged, Satata Yukta, in my service in consorthood, Madhura Rasa, with heartfelt love, Bhajatam Priti Purvakam. Then he says that he will give them further inspiration or inner instruction by which they can come to him. Yena mam upayantite. When already in this and the previous verse, the devotee's service to the Lord has been described as eternal by the words Nityam and Satata Yukta. Now the statement that they will give them further inspiration by which they can come to him may appear to be redundant. Therefore, in the expression Mam upayantite, they will come to me, the word upayanti must be defined as parakiya bhavena upapati. Pati means husband and upapati means paramour. In Vrindavan, Lord Krishna is not considered a lawful husband, but he is the Lord of the heart, transcendental to even the husband, parakiya rasa. Deceiving their husbands, the gopis of Vrindavan unite with Krishna. They do not allow a second party to come between them and Krishna. They cannot allow the interception of social law or even scriptural regulation, because Krishna's position is absolute, and such a relationship is more relishable to him. This is Vrindavan Bhajan, and this is the meaning of Upapati. Vikriditam Brajavaruviridam cha Vishnu Shradanbito Nusrinuyad Ata Brinayed Jaha Bhaktim Param Bhagavati Pratilabhya Kamam Hridrogam Ashva Apanoti Achirena Dhira. From Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th Canto. A self-controlled person who possesses sincere faith in the divine pastimes transcendently enjoyed by Lord Krishna with the gopis, Rasa Lila, and who, having heard those divine pastimes from the lotus mouth of the bona fide Guru, constantly sings or narrates their glories. Such a person swiftly achieves the most elevated form of pure devotion for the Lord, and is promptly able to ward off the heart disease of lust. In his writings, Srila Jiva Goswami has laid stress on the word dhira, meaning self-control. To hear these elevated subjects, one must enter into the culture of sense control, otherwise he will be lost. Naitat samacharej jatu manashapi anishvara Vinashatyacharjam modhayad jatrudra jam visham. No one should ever think of imitating this behavior of the Supreme Lord and the gopis. If out of gross foolishness anyone tries to imitate the pastimes of the Lord, he will be destroyed, as though imitating Lord Shiva by drinking the poison which arose from the ocean. It is described in Srimad Bhagavatam that once the demigods and the demons jointly engaged in churning the ocean to produce nectar. Both nectar and poison were produced, and Lord Shiva, by his power, could hold the poison within his throat. My relationship with them is independent of everything conceivable, including law, society, and the scriptures. It is most innate and natural, and it does not require any social or scriptural sanction. I say to them, you may show formal respect to all these restrictions and live in the society, but from the heart of your heart, you are mine. This is the special inspiration and insight I give those devotees. Buddhi yogam yena mam upayantite. Externally, there are social and scriptural demands, but my position is over and above them. Veda is my instruction for the benefit of the masses who have deviated from me, and society is also under the jurisdiction of those general instructions given to the people by me. But my divine relationship with everything is intrinsic and independent. It does not require recognition from anyone. Such a relationship is the highest. It is the constant. It supersedes all law and society, which are guided by the Vedas. Rather, all the Vedas are searching for such a thing. Shrutibir vimrigyam vishesha mrigya. The Vedas are searching after this ideal divine position. In the section of the Srimad Bhagavatam which deals with Rasa Lila, the Vedas are begging forgiveness. Quote, we are generally supposed to give tidings of you, but we could not describe you as we now experience you here. Now we understand that we have committed an offense, because we could not distribute this Rasa Lila to the world. End quote. Like signposts, all the revealed scriptures are only showing the direction. But where, how, we don't know. only he may be available in this direction. Anywhere and everywhere, everything belongs to him. For one who knows this, all possibilities of sense pleasure and exploitation are uprooted. For example, an unmarried woman may have the possibility of being approached by many, but there is less possibility for those who are married, because they are possessed by someone. Similarly, when we are able to know that everything is only for the satisfaction of Krishna, then we shall realize that all our exploiting tendencies have vanished forever. Nothing will remain to be utilized for the pleasure of our sense experience. It will be very deeply felt in our hearts that everything has its existence only for his satisfaction, and there is no room for any other exploitation. We too are included there. Our existence is also only for his satisfaction. Everything is meant for his divine pastimes, Leela, and there is no possibility for any other's pastimes. All are included in that one Leela. Encroachment will disappear when we learn the proper utility of everything. He is the owner, and his ownership is absolute. The scriptures, society, and law designate, this is yours, that is another's, or that belongs to a third party. This is something like a temporary lease, but the permanent ownership in all respects is in all respects with him. All others, possessor and property, master and servant, are relative and only sanctioned by him for the time being. He alone is the absolute owner, possessor and enjoyer. Complete purification of our hearts is possible only when we arrive at such a conclusion. Everyone is thinking of themselves as many masters of many things. But this is all heart disease, hridroga. This is all conceived in a diseased state of consciousness. In a healthy state, when the heart is quite wholesome, we can see the supreme whole, and we can see that everything is meant only for his satisfaction. Out of compassion for them, I, situated within the hearts of all living beings, dispel the darkness of ignorance with the radiance of knowledge. Or, being conquered by the love of those devotees, who in their unalloyed loving devotion become afflicted by the all-devouring darkness born of their pangs of separation from me, I illuminate their hearts with my presence, destroying the darkness of their pain of separation. Commentary. Of the two translations given above, the first is the most general interpretation of this verse. But if we appreciate pure, non-calculative devotion, Gyan Shunya Bhakti, the Lord's statement here may again appear redundant and inconsistent. When those high devotees are already admitted to be performing continuous and unadulterated service, and even above that, they are situated in the plane of pure love, spontaneous and automatic ragamar, how can it be harmonized that the Lord will now in the last stage destroy their ignorance, tama, born of misunderstanding, agya jam, by giving them knowledge, gyan? Gyan is only a cover, a futile, finite conception of the infinite, absolute. Jnana karmadi anavritam bhakti uttama. When they have achieved devotion, devoid of the covering of knowledge, gyan shunya bhakti, how will they again have to return to that knowledge or gyan? In his commentary, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has mentioned that this knowledge is extraordinary, vilakshana. Though he did not enter into specific detail, to clarify this point, we have given the following explanation. Lamentation and delusion are generally known to be symptoms of the mode of ignorance or tamagun. In Gyan Shunya Bhakti, the elevated devotees who take Krishna not as the supreme God, but as a friend, son, husband or lover, will come to experience lamentation and delusion, but this is only an outward appearance of ignorance. In fact, it is the pain of divine separation they lament. Where have you gone? In this verse, the Lord's statement, Tesham evanukam partam, generally means fortunately for them, or to favor them, I dispel their darkness, etc. But it may also be interpreted, I want their favor, I aspire for the favor of those devotees of the highest order. The Lord also says to the gopis in Srimad Bhagavatam, Mai bhaktir hi bhutanam amritataya kalpate. Disyad yad asin matsneho bhavatinam madapanaha. In general, people want devotion to me to achieve eternal life, to cross the limit of mortality, and to have eternal life. They come to me and worship me. For these reasons they want my service. But fortunately for you, O gopis, you have some natural affection towards me that will ultimately bring you to me. This is the general meaning. However, in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has drawn out the inner meaning of what Krishna is saying to the gopis, which is just the opposite. Through devotion, everyone wants me to help them attain the highest position of eternal benefit. And if they have a connection with me, they consider themselves fortunate. But I consider myself fortunate because I have come in touch with the valuable affection that I found in your hearts. By my fortune, I have got your association. Therefore, here in Sri Gita, the Lord is saying, Tesham evanukam partam, being conquered by the love of those unalloyed devotees. When I cannot tolerate their pain of separation, I at once come running to satisfy them, and I reveal to them with special light, special consciousness, I have returned to you, see me now. With powerful brilliance, jnana dipena, I show them my presence when they are very much in need of me, and I relieve their pain of separation. Atma bhava staha. He reveals himself according to his devotee's divine relationship with him, rasa, to a friend as a friend, to a mother as a child, to a wife as a husband, and to the sweetheart as a paramour. After Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left home and accepted the renounced order of life, sannyas, Mother Sachi could not tolerate the deep separation, and she began to cry. Sachi Devi was preparing excellent dishes, offering them to the deity, and weeping, Where is my Nimai? He's very fond of these curries, his favorite dishes, and Nimai is not here. Suddenly Lord Chaitanya came and began to eat. Sachi Devi exclaimed, Oh, Nimai is eating, and for the time being her separation was relieved. Moments later she reconsidered. Did I see Nimai eating? But he is now a sannyasi in Jagannath Puri, so how could he have come here? Did I serve him? There must be a mistake. Then she examined the pots again to see if there was food there. Finding them empty, she began to conjecture whether even a dog or some other animal had come and eaten it. But during that moment, Nimai had actually come, and Mother Sachi saw him in broad daylight. That illumination is transcendental and not the knowledge or gyan that is generally known in our vocabulary. The acme of theism is parakya rasa. Parakya means another's. In every divine relationship, the Lord captures all. In the whole of Vrindavan, where everyone follows the path of love, Ragamar, this Parakiya Rasa is infused. The friends of Krishna sometimes say, some people say that Krishna is a resident of Mathura. They say he's the son of Vasudeva and he will soon go to Mathura. They say he's not our friend. We will really lose his company? Then how will we be able to live in this jungle and herd the cows? They experience this apprehension. We may lose him at any time. This intensifies their friendly service to him. Similarly, Mother Jashoda thinks, some say that Krishna is not my son, he is Devaki's son. What is this? I won't admit this. He is my child. This idea enhances Yashoda's affection for Krishna. I may lose him, then how shall I live? Therefore, the Parakiya Rasa stresses the rarity of Krishna's relationship, because the possibility of losing his company is always in the background. But the highest intensity of service is to be found in the Madhura Rasa, or consorthood group. In the other rasas there is the idea of suspense, that he may go away. But in the consorthood relationship, in the divine abode of Vrindavan, the consorts cross the direction of the scriptures and the society which guide everyone to remain as husband and wife, Shvakiya. Parakiya and others has been accepted in the science of devotion as the highest conception, above the socially and scripturally sanctioned Shvakiya, one's own. Parakiya or paramour relationship nourishes the pastimes of Krishna by deceiving one who claims ownership over another, such as husband over a wife or a parent over a child. The normally accepted relationship of Swakiya is commonplace, but to cross the jurisdiction of the scriptures and society as a paramour means a greater risk, as if to commit sin. Thus, this relationship is very rare, and rarity enhances its intensity and value. The idea of deceiving the possessor to favor the non-possessor in the spiritual sense is a beautiful ornamental conception. Actually, in Krishna's case, there cannot be any state of paramourship, because in truth, he is the owner of everything. However, the divine arrangement is fashioned in this way to enhance the devotee's internal devotion for the Lord, just as food appears more tasteful when hunger is present. In Vaikuntha, the nature of worship of Lord Vishnu is gorgeous, majestic, reverential, and awe-inspiring. But above that, in the highest conception, Godhead is human-like in form and nature. It is stated in the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, in the teachings to Sanatana Goswami, Krishnara Jatika Kela Sarvottama Naralila Naravaputa Hara Swarupa Gopaveshu Venukara Navakishora Natavara Naralila Hoya Anurupa Krishnara Madhura Rupa Shuna Sanatana Jay Rupera Ekakana Dubaya Saba Tribhuvana Sarva Prani Kare Akara Ashna Shana. The highest form of Godhead is Krishna, who plays in his eternal divine pastimes like a human being. An ever-youthful cowherd boy of Vrindavan, the best of dancers, he enjoys his pastimes, always playing his flute. His beauty is so charming and sweet that the whole universe is flooded by even the tiniest atom of it, and all beings are attracted irresistibly to him. He is approachable by all. We can find God nearest of all in a human feature. It has been explained how Krishna's form of human feature is the highest form of the Absolute. according to the calculation of ecstasy, rasa, which is the common standard of measurement of the whole scope of the infinite. By the development of Shanta, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya and Mudura, and then Parakiya rasa, tranquility, servitude, friendship, parenthood, consorthood, and then paramour relationship. This is scientifically proven without whimsical or blind faith. If we follow the line of Rupanuga Bhajan, devotion following the line of Srila Rupa Goswami, which originates from Sri Chaitanya Dev, this scientific basis can be appreciated. The previous acharyas have left comprehensive teaching for us on how to follow, conceive, and attain all these things. Arjuna said, O Lord, you are the supreme Brahma, the supreme shelter and the supreme savior. Whoever's listening to this is really quite disturbing me. I'm hearing myself in an echo. It's really quite disturbing. Arjuna said, O Lord, you are the supreme Brahma, the supreme shelter, and the supreme savior. All the prominent sages, such as Devashis, Narad, Asita, Devala, and Vyas, have described you as the self-manifest, eternal, supreme person, the fountainhead of all opulences, and the root of all existence, from whose divine play everything emanates. And now you are personally declaring this to be the truth. O Keshava, I fully accept all that you have said. O Lord, indeed, neither demigods nor demons know your personality in full. O Supreme Person, Universal Father, Lord of all beings, God of the gods, Lord of the universe, only you know yourself by your own divine potency. Please describe to me in full your personal opulences by which you pervade all these worlds. O Lord of divine potency, how can I be constantly absorbed in thought of you? How can I know you? And in which form should I think of you? O Janardhan, please again describe in detail your opulences and the path of devotion to you, for I never tire of hearing your ambrosial words. The Supreme Lord said, O Arjun, best of the Kurus, my glories are unlimited, so I shall tell you of my principal transcendental opulences manifest in this world by my divine potency. O conqueror of sleep, I am the supersoul within the hearts of all beings, and I am their beginning, middle, and end. Of the 12 Adityas, I am Vishnu. Of the luminaries, I am the radiant sun. Of the Vayus, I am Marichi, and of stars, I am the moon. Of the Vedas, I am the Samaveda. Of the demigods, I am Indra. Of the senses, I am the mind, and I am the life of all that lives. Of the 11 Rudras, I am Shankar, and of the Yakshas and Rakshasas, I am Kubera. Of the 8 Vasus, I am Agni, and of mountains, I am Sumeru. O Partha, you should know me as the chief of priests, Brihaspati. Of generals, I am Kartikeya, and of reservoirs, I am the ocean. Of great sages, I am Bhrigu. Of sound vibrations, I am Om. Of all sacrifices, I am the chanting of the holy names. And of the immovable, I am the Himalayas. I am the Ashvata among trees, Narad of godly sages, Chitrarat of heavenly singers, and Kapila Muni of perfected beings. Among horses know me as Uchaishrava, who was born of nectar. Know me as Airavata among elephants, and king among men. Of weapons I am the thunderbolt, and of cows I am the heavenly desire-fulfilling cow. Of cupids I am the progenitor, and of one-headed venomous snakes I am Vasuki, the king of snakes. Of the multi-headed non-poisonous serpents I am the Anantanag, and of aquatics I am Varunadev. Of the deified ancestors I am Aryama, and of ministers I am Jamaraj, the lord of punishment. Of the Daityas I am Prahlad, and of subjugators I am Time. Of animals I am the lion, and of birds I am Garuda. Of sanctifiers I am the wind. Of weapon-wielding heroes I am Lord Parashuram. Among fish I am the shark, and of rivers I am the Ganges. Arjuna, of all that is manifest I am the beginning, middle, and end. Of all wisdom I am self-knowledge, and I am the philosophy of philosophers. Of the primary letters of the alphabet I am the letter A, and of compound words I am the jewel. I alone am the endless flow of time, and of universal creators I am the four-headed Lord Brahma. Of plunderers I am all-devouring death, and of the predestined 6 transformations I am birth, the foremost. Of the feminine qualities I am fame, beauty, perfect speech, remembrance, intelligence, patience, and forgiveness, the 7 wives of Dharma. Of all the mantras in the Samaveda, I am the Brihatsama prayer to Lord Indra, and of metrical mantras, I am the holy Gayatri mantra. Of the months, I am the foremost, Agrahayan, and of the seasons, I am flower-bearing spring. I am the gambling of cheats, and the glory of the glorious. I am victory, I am perseverance, and I am the power of truth of the honest. Of the Jadavas I am Vasudeva. Of the Pandavas I am Arjuna. Of the sages I am Vyasadeva. And of knowers of the scriptures I am Shukracharya. I am the punishment meted out by the enforcers of the law. I am the political wisdom of those desiring to conquer. I am the silence of all secrets, and I am the wisdom of the wise. O Arjuna, whatever is considered the origin of all beings, I am that. Nothing, whether stationary or moving, can exist without me. O conqueror of the enemy, my divine glories have no end. I have given you but an indication of them. Know for certain that whatever is magnificent, beautiful, or glorious is born of but a fraction of my power. But, O Arjuna, what is the need of elaborating further on my opulences? I support this entire universe in my fractional expansion as the supersoul of material nature. The end of chapter 10, the divine glories of the Lord, from the conversation of Sri Krishna and Arjuna in Srimad Bhagavad Gita Upanishad, the yoga scripture of transcendental knowledge, in the Bhishma Parva of Sri Mahabharata, the holy scripture revealed by Srila Vyasadeva in 100,000 verses. Wow. Quite a lot there.
That's only a fraction of who he is.
So, summary of the chapter.
There was a request if we could take some questions, just to break it up a little bit.
Okay, then we probably won't get to any of this then.
This is it's a lot for the translators.
As you like.
Okay. Just, 10, verses 4 to 5.
Maybe speak a bit louder.
Krishna lists contradictory qualities like fear and fearlessness, or birth and death as arising from him. Can you explain the significance of God being the source of both positive and negative human experiences?
Well, nothing can exist separate from him. So both positive and negative attributes must also have their origin in him. So it's not that only positive exists in him, but negative also. So both of those make the whole. So without darkness, you cannot appreciate light. Without heat, you cannot appreciate cold. So like that, in that way. Actually, darkness is the absence of light, and cold is the absence of heat. So they're both the same, actually. Both different expressions from the same spectrum. So happiness and unhappiness and so on, they're just both a full expression of the same coin, if you like, the head and the tail. They both exist simultaneously, but nothing can exist outside of Krishna. So therefore he must be the origin of both of those things.
Okay. So let me just put here 10. Or can you type? So it's verse 11. Krishna says he dwells in the hearts of his devotees and destroys the darkness of ignorance with the shining lamp of knowledge. Is spiritual enlightenment therefore a result of personal effort, or is it some kind of gift of divine mercy?
It's always and only a gift of divine mercy. But that may be as a result of our effort. So Srila Gurudev would often say, first deserve, then desire. So in other words, by your effort and by your perseverance, you can attract the grace of the Lord. When he sees that we are earnestly trying to reach him, then he most graciously shows himself to us or reveals himself within our heart. So it's not, of course, he is fully independent and has no criteria other than his own. So, but we use this expression a lot in devotion, causeless mercy. It appears to have no cause other than itself. So causeless mercy, but we can act in a way in our life to try to invoke that causeless mercy. So by practicing our sadhana bhakti with the hope of the underlying mercy of the Lord, we may be able to progress in our spiritual life. Sri Maharaj says that sadhana means that we're taking upon ourselves something which is a little painful. So, but underlying that is the prospect of some extraordinary joy. which we can only find by the causeless mercy of the Lord. So it is a gift, it is that. But it's also, we should understand that we don't exist just to suffer. We exist to live a life of unalloyed joy in the service of the Lord. That's our actual constitutional position. But to be able to realize that requires causeless mercy from His side. So we should earnestly try to invoke that mercy upon ourselves and make ourselves, as Srila Gurudev would say, a fit receiver of that.
We have another question from Priyanana Didi.
Yes, one more, and then I want to go to the summary.
Dandavat. If Bhagavad Gita is a part of Mahabharata, does it mean it was revealed by Srila Vyasadeva earlier than Srimad Bhagavatam?
I don't know the answer to that, actually. So, because all of the, they all exist eternally, both the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam, they exist eternally. But when they were actually revealed, I can't really give you a time frame on that. But it was already existing. This is in previous chapter. Krishna said, I imparted this knowledge to the sun god, and then to from him it came through to cyclic succession. And Arjuna says, how can that be? Because the sun god has been existing for millions of years, and you are, more recent. You are here now. So how could you have done that? Then Krishna says that we all exist eternally, but the difference is that I remember all of my previous manifestations, whereas you do not remember any. So this is the difference between you and I, he says to Arjuna. So we can say, in one sense, it's something like saying which comes first, summer or winter. In the cycle of the seasons, we can't say which is first and which follows which, because it comes in the cycle. So in the same way, the scriptures are revealed in a cyclical way, and Srimad Bhagavatam and Mahabharata are contemporary scripture. But Srimad Bhagavatam is not so widely accessible as Mahabharata. Mahabharata is the general scripture for understanding spiritual truth in this age, and Srimad Bhagavatam is a much more evolved and advanced treatise than the Mahabharata. And sometimes we are seeing different, but though both come from Vyasadeva, we are seeing different explanations given in Srimad Bhagavatam and in Mahabharata. For example, in Mahabharata, when the snake bird comes to bite Maharaj Parikshit, in Mahabharata it says that it bites him on the forehead, but in Srimad Bhagavatam it says the snake bird bites him on the feet, comes to his feet. And so it's not that one's right and one's wrong, it's just that they have different perspective according to the intended listener or the intended hearer of that. So the Mahabharata and Gita also is more general, and Srimad Bhagavatam is more higher, you can say. Srila Prabhupada sometimes described it as the postgraduate study of devotion. So, but as far as which came first, I cannot say. Don't know. Someone might know, I don't know. Okay, so we have a little time, so I just want to go through the summary and the acronym. The Supreme Lord Krishna establishes that he is the primeval origin of all the gods and the great sages of yore, even though they are unable to comprehend his divine descent into the world. Whosoever knows him as the one, unborn, beginningless fountainhead of all that exists, and realizes the transcendental nature of his eternal, all-beautiful, human-like form, and knows this to be above both his aspects, as the indwelling supersoul or Paramatma, and the all-pervading impersonal feature Brahman, is purged of all sin and released from the delusion of Maya. All the qualities of the living beings, intelligence, knowledge, freedom from delusion, forbearance, truth, happiness, unhappiness, etc., all have their origin in him. The 7 ancient sages, the 4 fabled brahmacharis, and the 14 manus are all born of Lord Brahma and empowered by the Lord. The human race is their progeny. Those who worship the Lord with firm faith and unadulterated devotion, knowing him to be the cause and origin of all that be, are truly enlightened in transcendental knowledge. The Lord then gives the Chatur Shloki, or the 4 essential root verses of the Gita, verses 8 to 11, beginning with Aham Sarvasya Prabhu. These verses encapsulate the nucleus of the whole Gita. He begins by declaring that he is Krishna, the sweet absolute, the cause of all, and that those who realize this embrace the eternal path of divine love and adore him forever. Those fully surrendered devotees constantly speak about him and enlighten and enliven one another in the ecstasy of their shared realizations. Such devotees come to the Lord in the deepest intimacy of love, inspired by irresistible desire for spiritual union with him. Feeling the heartbreak of their separation from him, the sweet Lord illuminates their hearts with his all-loving presence of joyful communion with him. Arjuna then asks the Lord to describe his opulences so that he can always be absorbed in thought of him. The Lord replies that his glories are unlimited, so he will tell him of some of the principal divine manifestations in this world. He is the Vishnu of the Adityas, the sun, the moon, the Samaveda, Indra, the king of the gods, sage Kapila, devotee Prahlad, warrior Parashuram, Mount Sumeru, the ocean, and the syllable Om. Flower-bearing spring is he. Valor, victory, perseverance, truth, the silence of secrets, and the wisdom of the wise. Vasudeva of the Vrishnis, and Arjuna of the Pandavas. He is the beginning, the middle, and the end of all. The science that deals with God, the soul and matter and their inner relationship. He is that. In other words, whatever is remarkable in this world, due to its grandeur, its might, its glories, its sublimity, or its beauty, you should know to be a manifestation of his divine splendor. The Lord concludes by saying there is no need to further elaborate his wondrous glories, as he pervades and supports the entire creation with just a fraction of himself in his expansion as the Paramatma. The useful the acronym to remember the chapter contents, SEE, S-E-E. When discussing the subject of spirituality among different audiences, certain reservations invariably seem to surface. People complain that they cannot see God at work, that he is not manifest in person before their eyes, and that they have no direct experience of his existence. Show me God, the skeptics posit, and then I'll believe in him. In chapter 10, Krishna explains how the spiritualist can simultaneously perceive God as the source of the creation and also see God within the creation. However, this requires more than an intellectual understanding. It actually calls for transformation of one's consciousness and revelation from within. S, for the source of everything, verses 1 to 7. Modern science is founded upon the methodology of ascending knowledge, where one attempts to understand reality in its fullest extent by empirical research and experimentation. Krishna makes a simple but powerful rebuttal of such an approach. He explains how something which has been created cannot understand its source independently. For example, if one wanted to ascertain the identity of their father using a purely experimental approach, it would be highly impractical and most likely inconclusive. However, if one accepted the testimony of their mother first and subsequently experimented, such an approach would more likely be successful. In the same way, all material and spiritual creations have their source in Krishna, and one who approaches him can get scientific insight into their identity and purpose. Later, Krishna will explain how such knowledge can actually be directly perceived. E, for essence of Gita, verses 8 to 11. These 4 verses contain the essence of the Bhagavad Gita and describe spirituality in its 3 essential stages. The first stage is entitled Sambandha, or knowledge of one's relationship with God and the universe. The second stage is the practice and application of such knowledge in one's daily life, technically known as abhidheya. The third stage is the mature fruit of such practice, which is pure spiritual consciousness and unbounded love of God. This is known as prayojana. Thus, the Bhagavad Gita is actually a spiritual science, since there is hypothesis, sambandha, experiment, abhidheya, and observation, conclusion, prayojana. These 4 verses, 8 to 11, give a roadmap of spirituality from beginning to end. Then the second E means everywhere, verses 12 to 42. Arjuna is satisfied by Krishna's explanations and requests him to elaborate further on his characteristics and qualities. In response, Krishna describes the most prominent among his limitless, all-pervading opulence. By doing this, he explains how one can actually think about him, meditate on him, and see him everywhere. It is not that Krishna is physically all these things he mentions, but rather he is the source of the opulence of these things, their strength, fame, wealth, and so on. After naming 82 opulences, Krishna concludes by stating that these simply hint at his glory, since he pervades and supports the entire universe with a mere fragment of his energy. Okay. Can I have another question?
Yes, Prabhu. Could you, do we know why these most essential verses of the Bhagavad Gita occur within the 10th chapter?
Because
in
it's
the middle.
because it's the middle of the conversation, and Krishna wants to now take that the time in the middle of that to give the essential knowledge. So the Gita so far has been leading up to this, and from here he's giving very clearly, explaining who he is and what his position is, and as to why he chose to do that in the middle, well, you'll have to ask him when you see him.
Any question from from all of you, from any of you?
Yeah, I have one question. How does this chapter connect jnana with knowledge, with devotion? Knowledge and devotion, how it is interlinked in this chapter?
That's actually what Sridhar Maharaj is explaining his commentary on that. That when Krishna says that that I give the knowledge by which they can come to me, this is not, as Guru Maharaj explains, this is not Gyan in the ordinary sense, or knowledge. Gyan means knowledge, but knowledge of this world. But this is a different kind of knowledge. Sambandha Gyan, or Jnana Dipena, means transcendental knowledge. Transcendental knowledge is above our sensual and intellectual understanding. So that it's coming from the higher realm down to us, and being revealed to us by Lord Krishna through the Gita, explaining how it is not just ordinary knowledge, that because here he's speaking about devotees who are already above Gyan. So that type of devotion is called Gyan Shunya Bhakti. So that means like knowledge-free devotion. So that doesn't mean blind devotion or blind following. It means Gyan in the sense of what we understand from our experience in this world, as opposed to the knowledge that descends from the upper quarter, from the divine abode. So that knowledge is of a different type, and that is revealed knowledge. And previously, in previous chapters, Krishna has explained the difference between Gyan and Vigyan. So Gyan means the theoretical knowledge, you can say, and Vigyan means realized knowledge. So Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Maharaj would say that proper realization comes from proper visualization. So first of all, or proper conceptualization. So first of all, we have to have the proper conception of who is Krishna and who are we and what is our relationship, what is Maya, what is the world, all of these things. That's called Sambandha Gyan. So that isn't the knowledge of this world, but rather the knowledge we need to understand what is our relationship with the Lord. And that is coming through revelation. So that kind of knowledge, revealed knowledge, is a different kind of Gyan. So not when Krishna speaks about that Gyan here, he's not speaking about our knowledge that we've gathered from our experience in this world, or even what we've understood from reading the scripture, but in an intellectual or the word? Theoretical way. So the theory is one thing, but the actual reality is a different thing, and that will come to us after we can conceptualize that in the proper way. So it may still be largely intellectual or theoretical within us now, but by invoking the grace of the Lord and by faithfully trying to follow His direction, then that gyan, Divya Gyan, it's called Divya Gyan, spiritual knowledge, that will descend upon us, and that when that happens, that will be irrefutable and
Irresistible?
irresistible. Irrefutable and irresistible. Ahoituki apratiyata. It can't be denied and it can't be resisted, and it will possess you actually.
Prabhu, will we feel that in the heart actually? When that comes, when that Divya Gyan comes down to us, as opposed to intellectual knowledge, will we feel that in the heart?
Yeah, both things. I mean, the heart is almost an abstraction actually, because it doesn't mean that organ that's pumping blood around you. It doesn't mean that. It just means, when we say the heart, actually we mean the essential heart of who we are. So, then somebody said, once I remember someone asking, if the Lord is in the heart, what happens if you have a heart transplant? So it clearly doesn't mean that the Lord's got a little house inside the organ pumping blood around you, where He lives, and if you move that out from your body, what will happen to that? No, it means what is essentially who you are, and that means your soul. So now our soul is in like a sleeping state, but when that Divya Gyan descends within the heart, within the essence of who you are, that will be all pervading. It won't be like, feeling something in my chest, like some divine thing. No, it'll be self-evident, but it won't be just something that's like revolving in your brain, which is basically the organic computer inside your head, through which you can interpret the information that's coming through your senses. A different kind of thing. So, Guru Maharaj advises us that not to try to think of that as something that we know or something that we understand in this material world. Oh yeah, I understand that. It must be this, it must be that. Actually, it is something that until now we don't have any experience of at all. It'll be something completely new, some completely novel and unique, and but at the same time undeniable. So yeah, you can say yes in the heart. That means essentially who you are. That's where you're going to feel that. But it won't require any confirmation from your intellect or from any other source. Like when you've eaten and you feel satisfied, you don't need somebody to tell you that, do you? You know that. You understand that. intuitively. So when that grace of the Lord comes down upon somebody, intuitively they understand that, they realize what that is, and that actually replaces everything else that until now is moving us. But this will move you in a new way and give you new light, a new experience, a new mode of being.
I think there was one more question at the back.
Yes.
He already answered.
Ah, okay. One tiny question, anyone? Did you say?
Devashis, Prabhu. Could you just explain a little bit more what Radha Dasyam means?
So,
Could you repeat that?
could I explain what Radha Dasyam means? That means the servitorship of Srimati Radharani. Radharani is the essentially the feminine aspect of divinity. So, generally God is conceived of as being a man, and often, especially in the Abrahamic religions, as an old man sitting in the clouds with a big beard, blessing the righteous and throwing thunderbolts on the wicked. But in the highest conception of divinity, the highest revelation of divinity, that is both male and female. So the female aspect is personified in Srimati Radharani. So, and we are of her nature. So Krishna is the Shaktiman, and she is Shakti. That means that Krishna is the actually only male, and all souls are female. So although your form may be male or female, and objectively, but female in the sense that we are to be utilized by Krishna, enjoyed by Krishna. And the acme of religious life or revelation of divinity is in the service of Srimati Radharani. So we cannot serve God directly. We have to serve God through his devotee. This is, in many places in the Gita, Krishna has stressed that. But especially in Srimad Bhagavatam, when he's discussing with Uddhava in the 11th canto, he says, those who say they are my devotee, I don't really accept them as such. But those who are the devotee of my devotee, then I consider them actually to be my devotee in reality. So that means that you cannot serve God directly, you must serve through his devotee. And the supreme devotee of Krishna, that is Srimati Radharani. This has been shown by Srimad Bhagavatam and also by Sanatana Goswami in his Brihad Bhagavatamrita. In Brihad Bhagavatamrita, then Devashis Narad, he's going in the first part from devotee to devotee, trying to understand who is the greatest of the devotees. And finally he comes to Uddhava. So our Guru Maharaj, he met this Pandit that he knew the whole of Srimad Bhagavatam, 18,000 verses by heart. He didn't need, you ask him any verse, he can tell that verse to you. then that is a kind of rare thing. In that is called Shrutidar. In modern day, that's known as like having identic memory. Previously, in previous ages, everybody had identic memory. Then there was no necessity for books. You'd hear something once, you'd remember it perfectly forever. But Vyasadeva understood in Kali Yuga, people's lives are short and their memories are rubbish. Then if all of the scriptures aren't made into books, they'll be lost. So that was his purpose. He began that task. You all know that, right? That then Ganesh was his scribe, and through that he compiled all of the Vedas and so on. So then when Guru Maharaj met that Shrutidar, he asked him, so in your opinion, who is the greatest devotee of Krishna? And Shrutidar's reply was, the Chatushan, the four Kumaras, they're the greatest devotee of Krishna. And he said, what do you say to Guru Maharaj? And Guru Maharaj said, no, I don't agree. They're not the greatest devotee of Krishna. And why do I say that? Because Krishna says to Uddhava that, Uddhava, you are more dear to me than my own self. You are more dear to me than Lakshmi. You are more dear to me than even Baladev. You are my beloved friend and more dear to me than anything, even my own self. First, okay, then when Narad came to Uddhava to understand, he's telling, oh, this is what Krishna says about you, so you are definitely the greatest devotee of Krishna. And Uddhava said, oh, Narad, don't misunderstand the truth. The truth is this, that Krishna sent me as his messenger to Vrindavan. And when I came to Vrindavan, there I saw that how much heartbreak those devotees of Krishna are living in separation, without his company. When Krishna went to Mathura, promising to return, but he never returned. For 100 years they were separated from Krishna. And we know the saying, right? Absence makes the heart grow fonder. So then Krishna sent Uddhava to Vrindavan to bring a message to the residents, and especially to the cowherd girls, the gopis. And he told them, you should meditate on Brahman and practice yoga. And they said to Uddhava, what the hell are you talking about? We don't care about yoga, we don't care about Brahman, we only want Krishna. And we think that is some kind of like an insult to say that we should practice yoga and meditate on Brahman. We are not those kind of people. We want Krishna. And then Uddhava tells Narad, it is my aspiration that in my next life I may be born as a plant in Vrindavan, like a creeper or something. Then I may get the fortune that those residents of Braja, especially the cowherd girls, might put their foot on me, they might tread on me if I'm a plant there in Vrindavan. That I would consider to be the greatest fortune. And so without a doubt, the Brajavasis, residents of Vrindavan, they are the greatest devotees of Krishna. And amongst them, the cowherd girls, they are the highest. And amongst the cowherd girls, Srimati Radharani, her devotion is unparalleled to Krishna. So when Krishna was dancing with the cowherd girls in the Rasa Lila, at one point he decided to disappear and vanish from their company, and they're all becoming mad. We were with Krishna, now Krishna's gone, and they're becoming besides themselves. Where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? And Krishna's hiding himself. But then he comes, he wants to see what kind of feelings of separation they're having. So he appears as Narayan with 4 arms in front of them. And the gopis, they seeing him, they say, "Oh, Lord Narayan, you know everything." And they bow down to him or make prayers to him. You are the supreme personality of Godhead. You know everything. So that means you can tell us where Krishna is. Mm-hmm. If you know everything, then you know where Krishna is. Can you tell us where Krishna is? This way they're praying to him. And he's Krishna, but showing with 4 arms. But when Srimati Radharani comes before him, he can't remain with 4 arms. He drops 2 of the arms. They disappear, 2 arms. He brings them back. He can't. In front of her, he cannot be Vishnu or Narayan in front of her. He can only be Krishna, because although Krishna is not present, wherever she casts her glance, she only sees Krishna. So even when she looks at Narayan, she can only see Krishna. So she is Mahabhav. Mahabhav, Rasaraj, Mahabhav. Krishna is called Rasaraj, and she is called Mahabhav. And Krishna wants to know what kind of ecstasy she feels in her devotion to him. And so he decides, the only way I can know that is if I become my own devotee and come to the world to experience that devotion. And so he tells Radharani, in the Kali Yuga, I will come to the world as my own devotee, so I can taste the happiness, the ecstasy that you taste. I am meant to be Rasaraj, or Akila Rasamritamurti, the embodiment of all kinds of rasa. Rasa means all kinds of tastes, pleasure, all of these things. But one thing that I cannot taste is what you experience in your love and devotion for me. I want to taste that. So I will appear as my own devotee and search in separation for Krishna. And she said, "Yes, my Lord, but I know that sometimes you won't be able to remain conscious and you'll fall, and I cannot think that your soft body will hit the ground and be injured, so I will cover you with my own self, my Bhav and Kanti." Bhav and Kanti means heart and halo. I will cover you with my heart and halo, and this way Krishna appears as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he is Shama Sundar, but covered by the heart and halo of Srimati Radharani, who is also called Gaurangi. Then Shama Sundar becomes Gaura Sundar. Lord Chaitanya, he is the combined manifestation of Radha and Govinda together. Then the highest form of devotion to Krishna is the service and love and devotion of Srimati Radharani. So who will serve Krishna under the direction of Srimati Radharani, which means actually under the direction of Lalita Vishaka, they will get the highest fortune of experiencing themselves Mahabharata. So this is what Radha Dasyam means, that we are worshippers of her even more than we are worshippers of Krishna. Srila Prabhupada A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, in one of his purports of his books, he says, actually, without Radharani, Krishna is not so beautiful. Krishna is more beautiful when he's with Radharani. And this is actually the truth. So, when they are together, they represent the highest revelation of divinity, Radha and Krishna combined. And so we worship Srimati Radharani not because she is the favorite of Lord Krishna, but rather because Lord Krishna is the favorite of Srimati Radharani. Because we are also of the same category as her. We are Shakti. All of us, we are Shakti, and Krishna is Shaktiman. And we are to be enjoyed by Krishna. But we cannot approach Krishna directly, only through his devotee. And through his devotee means, ultimately, under the direction of Srimati Radharani. So this is the meaning of Radha Dasyam. And the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, that means the followers of Chaitanya Dev, they are fanatic followers of Srimati Radharani. That is the line of our gurus. We are trying to represent them. We consider that the highest fortune for the soul is to engage in the worship and service of Srimati Radharani, Radha Dasyam. Okay. Hare Krishna. So I think we need to stop there this evening. Jai Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Rupanuga Guru Bhargya Ki Jai. Sri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi Hari.
Jai Shripad Devashis Prabhu ki Jai.